have a hard stop. I'm like, I got one too. Shit, when this thing's supposed to be over?
We back in office now. We doing a hybrid model, so it's 3 days in the office and 2 days work from home.
No, you serious? I thought you just went into like tour. I don't know if you follow Cassie, but she does that from time to time. I didn't know you guys were like going in. I'm sorry to hear that.
Switch to a hybrid model.
Well, we are live. We are live. Sorry, I should have said something. But at least we're able to do it this time. How the first time? And I'm like, I think we live. Hold on, let me try this. Okay, we're gonna do it next week. No, we got it together a little bit better. But I'm so happy that you're here. So, with this live, you may want to have like another screen up so you can actually like see the chat, because obviously we can't.
Okay.
So you may want to do that just so you can see the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it. But the folks are rolling in. Hey y'all, I am just super duper happy to have you on. At the time when we first went live, when I first started going live with other folks, I was going live weekly. So now it's changed a bit where I'm going live like once a month. So I feel like I haven't been live for a while, and I'm so happy to like go into this kind of chill moment with somebody who's so chill, always chilling. Like all of your videos, everything is on chill. So for you, those of you who jump on and you may not be familiar with Corey Jones, or you just found Hey HR, so you didn't know he was on before, he's definitely been a past guest. And I'm so happy to have him back on. Corey Jones has over 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. So he's been in this YouTube game for quite some time. He can teach me some things. He can teach all of us some things. He has been chosen this year to be on YouTube's, is it like the Black YouTubers or Black creators or what have you? Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm butchering that, so you can fix it when you're ready. But I know it's huge, and I was so proud of you. And he has not only had recruiting and talent acquisition experience at USC here in Columbia, South Carolina, but he's also had that experience at Deloitte and Accenture, which are huge tech powerhouses here that everybody's always trying to get into the door. And he has been not applying and looking for, but got recruited by Google. So now he is doing talent acquisition at Google. And I'm just thinking that he can, and I'm not thinking, y'all, I know he can bring us so much information, like way more than I can. I know HR, but I'm not all that good in the tech industry. So before, without further ado, like say hi to the folks. I'm sure they'll trickle in at some point. They're like, Timeka going live again? They lost.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be on your channel. Happy to talk about, HR things, recruiting, talk about my experience in recruiting. Just a quick background. I'm from South Carolina, Sumter, South Carolina. Currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. Been here for about 4 years now. And yeah, like Timeka said, I'm currently working at Google as a recruiter in our early careers Tech Plus team. So primarily working with interns and then students recently graduating from college as well. But yeah, I love tech recruiting. But yeah, happy to talk about anything tech related, recruiting related. I'm an open book, very chilled and laid back, like Timeka said. So no question is a dumb question. So
yes, y'all heard the man. He begging y'all to ask questions. I sure appreciate him for it, because I was gonna beg too. So I sure happy he out here appreciating that. And folks recognizing that South Carolina, y'all, I feel like I'm with somebody I know because he's from so close to me. I'm a country girl. I'm from McClellanville, South Carolina, and I've lived in Charleston for so long. And McClellanville is in Charleston County. So it's so nice when I like watch your videos when you go home, and I'm like, oh, that looks like when I go home. Like everybody has these like homes where they're all, not close together like our houses now. But before we dive into these questions, y'all, the first thing we have to do is make sure to tell Corey happy belated birthday. He just celebrated his birthday in Vegas. So happy birthday. The second thing is congratulations on buying your first home. That is your first home, right?
Yes, it
okay,
is.
Because I know you were married before, y'all. He done dropped the whole video on how he got divorced. So y'all might want to check that out. That one's juicy, especially here from a male point of view.
Yeah, go check that video out.
I was eyes glued. I was like, what? A woman ain't talking about divorce? A man. So that's a good one. The man has other things on his channel.
Yeah.
And the man has great things to talk about with HR. But if y'all want just a little juice, go ahead and check out that divorce video. But but the first thing,
I said it got a lot of views. So yeah, go check it out.
Oh, I think only more coming. I think only more is coming. Well, now you're kind of on a drift now. I think people are so excited to see about like buying a home and like that type of thing. I bet that's a new drift of type of views or subscribers for you now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been a lot of traction being built with talking about homes and stuff. So probably gonna ride that wave for a little while longer.
If you know what you know, and you know better than I do, so I know I would ride it. But yeah, all the folks telling you happy birthday, I'm happy about that. Corey, I want to, you've been in this tech industry for a while. You've been in recruiting for a while. You've seen a lot of different people pop up on your screen, or you're seeing in person where you're interviewing them. You're seeing how some of the things that they're doing, and some things, we want to say, but we know we can't say, or we feel like it's not appropriate because if you say it, some people may take it wrong, what have you. What are some of your biggest tips to tell folks on interviews?
As far as just like getting into tech?
I mean, we can dive into that, but I feel like I feel like just from my audience, folks struggle with interviews, period. Okay. Like they have such a high idea about them.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the main thing is a lot of times interviews can seem, what's the word I'm looking for? It can seem challenging because sometimes when you find yourself interviewing, you feel like you can't be yourself, but I would say do your best to be yourself and let that shine through, because a lot of times if you're being interviewed, 9 times out of 10, they feel like you at least have the skills that can do the job. They just have to confirm that. So the next thing is making sure that you're being yourself and making sure that they can see a little bit of you in their team. So, whether that's like maybe cracking a joke at the end or like being very smiley, laughing, just making sure that your personality shows, because they're also interviewing you to see if you will fit with the team that they currently have, or to see if you would fit with their organization and their environment. So a lot of it is personality, but then a lot of it is also skills too. So I would say don't ever feel like you have to go into an interview extra polished and, tight, be very laid back, relaxed, be yourself, because at the end of the day, that will help you. And I know I've interviewed several times and I can tell when someone is not being themselves, or they're, trying to put on just for the job. But, 9 times out of 10, recruiters want to be laid back on the call too.
Okay.
Recruiters don't want to be stiff as well, but if you're kind of portraying that, then they feel like 9 times out of 10 they have to do that too. So everybody wants to be themselves. So I think coming into the interview, being yourself, really just, like I said, cracking a joke here and there, just showing who you truly are, will help you with the interview process. And then also a thing that I like to say is always have your resume near you. But don't always go fully through your resume, if that makes sense, because the recruiters will have your resume. So it's not good to go job by job, line by line, every single, because we've seen that before, but it's good to like pick out different particular, let's say, skills that you have, or a particular experience that you have at a job that tailors to a particular question. So it's good to have your resume there so you can remind yourself like, oh yeah, this question, I can use this particular scenario on my resume. You can say, yeah, you can also see it on my resume, but I'll talk about this experience. So those would be my main 2 points off the top of my head. And then I do know from interviewing as well, like we listen to a lot of interviews. So sometimes the information can get redundant. So that's why I always say, definitely don't read straight through your resume, just make sure you just pick out certain points on it.
You hit on to something, because I think people don't realize that when we pick them for an interview, it is literally because we've seen something already. Yeah. So that's, it's not like we just picking you got like, the lucky number to win the lottery. you
Right.
know, it's something that made us say this person could potentially be a fit. And I think people lose sight of that. Like they get on still feeling like they have to prove that resume when it's like, no, at this point, we
Right.
just want to prove you're a fit and validate your resume.
Exactly.
So that was some good stuff, because I do get a lot of folks that literally read through their resume and I'm like, you can see I only scheduled this for 15 minutes. So I don't know what we gonna do for the, you
Or
know,
another thing that I forgot to mention is a lot of times recruiters will say, "Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself," just to start the conversation off. I always tell my candidates, don't use that as a time to go through your resume. It's not a question to say, tell me about your experience. It's a question to say, tell me about yourself. So you could say, I'm from such and such. This is my hobbies. Like, tell the recruiter stuff that they don't see on the resume. Because if someone say, hey, tell me about yourself, and then you go tell me everything that I see on the resume, it's not any new information. It's not
mm-hmm,
anything to capitalize off. So use that as a situation like, oh, well, let me tell the recruiter something that's not on my resume. Let me tell the recruiter something that is a little bit personal, where you're from or any hobbies you have or why you might be in a job market, anything like that to
mm-hmm.
help, with your overall candidacy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I used to ask that question and I would get like, I got 5 kids and my daughter got her first tooth and my husband got, I got to hit a whole world. So I stopped going with that question. My go-to question is, tell me how you fit for this role. So I feel like that kind of keeps them in the realm of going through their experience. I feel like it's not saying, tell me about your particular resume, but tell me why I should pick you type of thing. And people have been taking it pretty well. It's kind of a new thing I've been doing, because Lord, when I to tell you about, I use that question sometimes because I do want to know, or previously when I did organ and tissue donation, it was where you're required to be on call for 24 hours. So I was trying to pull out, like, do you have small kids? Do you have obligations that would prevent you from being available for 24 hours? And
Right.
that worked. But now I'm like, just tell me how you fit for this role. Let's keep it moving, because you're about to tell me your world. And we ain't got that kind of time.
It's true. You
um,
gotta limit it.
yeah, you think you'll remain like working in the tech industry? Like, I know for me, I think that it's a lot of times it's people or HR professionals or recruiters, even people who aren't in HR. I feel like it's a goal. Like, I want to work for a tech industry. And now I can see that you kind of started your career there and stayed there and just continued propelling from it. Do you think you'll stay in the tech industry?
Yeah, in recruiting, yeah, I think I would stay in the tech industry, but I do want to make a pivot out of tech recruiting. So, like at Google, I recruit for tech roles, but I wouldn't mind recruiting for, let's say, business ops roles and things like that, and just getting out of the tech space since I've been in the tech space. But as far as like being in the tech industry, as far as like the company, yeah, I think tech companies is a great place to recruit at. But since I've been recruiting for tech roles at these tech companies for so long, I feel like it's time for me to make a pivot into another area of recruitment. So, but yeah, as far as like in the tech industry, yeah, I love it. I would stay for sure.
See, that was one of my questions. I wanted to know which so you answered it for me. I was going to ask you, like, which verticals do you recruit for? Because in the tech industry, I recruit for sales, operations, product marketing, and I feel like that's it. So I was wondering, so you just recruit for those folks that's literally, like, I guess, doing some of the engineering part of things where they're
Yeah,
creating
yes.
software?
Yes, specifically hardware engineering and then associate product managers, which require some tech experience. So, but at my last job, I recruited for software engineers, software consultants, and different things like that. But being in that tech space, it gets me not having a tech background, like I graduated with a business background. So anything that I don't know too much about coding and languages and stuff like that and C++
Like, oh
and
Lord.
Python. Like I just have to go off what's on paper and what's the hiring manager looking for. And then,
Okay, what you said on this intake?
but like if I actually move to recruiting for like business type roles, I feel like I could relate to those candidates better because I have a background in that and I went to school for that. So uh,
Yeah, yeah. I found it interesting because I'm still like you, where I feel like I don't know enough about tech. So I'm so happy I'm not doing like the engineering and the techie side of things. But I'm so happy that my boss found me through social media. And so she knows about my YouTube channel. And she was like, I think you would really like to do like creative and products. So it's so nice to hire like SEO managers and social media specialists and like stuff like that. Cause like I obviously like relate to it. So it is kind of weird when you have to learn so much before you can recruit for somebody. Like people don't understand that you're kind of like teaching yourself about the job before I can go through all these things.
And at Google, like even though I recruit in the hardware engineering space, but there's so many different roles in there and very niche roles. It could be a camera and imaging engineer. So I got to figure out what is that? You know, what phone they're going to be working on, what, like, you know, like it's a lot. So like you said, educating yourself on the actual role so you can find the candidates to fit what that role entails, take a lot of the time too. So
yeah, it does. But I tell you one thing, and this might sound a little jaded, but I kind of like working in something that's not like an everyday job, because you know people can't come to you and be like, hey, you got me a job, you hired me. You know? Like, no, I can't, because y'all ain't even here in the US. Like, so we have a question in the chat. I have more, but I definitely want to answer everyone's questions. Everybody's saying congratulations, happy birthday. That's so awesome. I loving the purple hearts in the chat. Thank y'all for joining us. But one of the questions that we have so far, I believe it's the first one, good. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any. Was, can you give us info about what a day in the life looks like? And I'm assuming that's like in the recruiting space, or working at Google or what have you, talent acquisition.
Yeah. Well, it kind of looks different for me now since we're back in the office or doing a hybrid model. But now I wake up, go into the office. Good thing about Google, they give us like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I go to the office and I put my laptop down, check a few emails, go downstairs, eat breakfast for a little while, chat with a couple of folks, go back upstairs, read some more emails, maybe have a couple of meetings with my managers or hiring managers, maybe have some offer calls that I have to do, some rejection calls, probably source a little bit, see exactly, you know, if any new candidates is in my requisition and things like that. But honestly, that's it. Go to lunch, go downstairs, go to lunch, come back. Some of the same
stuff. Well, you living the life in the office and outside of the office. You doing the same damn thing in the office that you do at home. I love it, except not paying for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Such a perk.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
But
you know, one of the things that you said was that you give calls to your rejection. So you actually like call each person you reject, or is it like you have to have interviewed this person? I'm sure you guys don't call every rejection. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So with the process at Google, I'm considered like a second round recruiter. So by the time candidates get to me, they've been through a phone screen, they've been through the sourcing. I just have to get them through on-sites, prep them up, different things like that. So I'll host a call with them. I'll get them set up with the interviews. And then after that, I'll take a look at the feedback from the interviewers and then see where we move forward with that to get them to a committee and things like that. Now, if they've made it to my stage and then I have to reject them after, you know, they've had interviews, we're required to give them a call.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, another thing you said, and you just said it again, and I want people to understand, like, there are two things you said where I don't think people realize how many people are impacting their process before they even get called in for interviews. So you said sometimes you source, but then you're also the second touch, right? So you already had somebody that sourced. And for you guys that aren't familiar with what sourcing is, because I already put that in some emails. So get on my email list if you don't know. I already put that on my IG and explain it to you. But if you're new to the game, you're not sure what that is, that means where we're going to find candidates. So if you applied on our website, we're going to go through all of those folks to see who qualify for an interview, or if there's someone that catches our interest. If we can't find them in our applicant pool, maybe we have a really rough applicant pool. We can have hundreds of candidates and like 2 of them look like they half decent. So we might find other sources like LinkedIn, or y'all have heard me talk about artificial intelligence. I'm pretty sure you guys have everything. So y'all don't really need to use other sources because we use like Seek Out and Sales IQ, I think it is. So that's what he's saying with that, that before you get to him, it sounds like two other folks have already like went through and picked this person. Is that right?
Yeah. So there's two ways here at Google. Since my role, I'm a second round recruiter, then like I said, they're being sourced for me. And then once they're sourced, they'll route them to me. And then I can take a second look and see if I want to move them forward or not. So by the
Nice.
time they get to me, they should either already have had a phone screen or something to give me some, some data to figure out if I need to move them to the next stages. So, but I have worked on some requisitions where I have had to kind of look through and source myself as well. So certain it depends on the role, but most of the time, by the time they get to me, they've been sourced and things of that nature.
I was about to say, it's probably your harder roles where you're actually doing the sourcing because your sources can't really find what you're looking for, right?
Right.
Or rec them been open too long and you're looking like, why are we on 30 days? Are we supposed to be having this on offer at 30 days or whatever, 45 days, whatever.
Right.
Well, the questions are definitely rolling in. So DJ Marie asks, how do you get started in recruiting or talent acquisition?
Yeah, I would say the best way, if you have zero recruiting experience, is to look for recruiting coordinator roles. So don't just look directly into being recruiters. 9 times out of 10, they're looking for people that have recruiting experience. You could get lucky and still, become a recruiter. I would say if you want to become a recruiter with no experience without going a recruiting coordinator role, probably working at like an agency, a recruiting agency, to get that experience, then going to a company to recruit for would be easier. But if you want to work for like a tech company or a bigger company, you probably would have to look into becoming a recruiting coordinator first and then staying there for like a year or two, then moving into a recruiter role. And that's what I did. When I worked at Deloitte, I was a recruiting coordinator for about 6 months, and then I moved into becoming a recruiter. So I would say that's the best route to take, because also if you become a recruiting coordinator first, you kind of have that general knowledge, the back end stuff.
Yeah.
So that recruiters don't really touch that much. You kind of know that side. And then when you become a recruiter, it kind of makes it easier because you're like, oh, I already know how that process works. So I would say a recruiting coordinator would be the first point of getting into recruiting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they're about to take you into a different direction with this next question, because we have Raven. She owns IRV, and she wanted to know, what advice do you have for a small business looking to scale and hire employees? All the way on left field with that one, right?
Yes. So a smaller business looking to scale and employ, I would say honestly, it depends. If you're just doing it on your own, it could be challenging, but maybe seeing if you could hire one person to start that process and you kind of manage it. Because I will say recruiting and scaling, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of moving pieces that goes into it between the different laws and different things like that. So I wouldn't have any exact advice since I haven't had to do that myself. Maybe Timeka, you could help out with that question.
I got you. Yeah, you're right. And he's so right. I think the biggest thing why he said you may need help is because don't forget that Corey has always worked for like much larger corporations where he gets an influx. So he knows what it looks like for businesses as they get to, 500 employees, 5,000 employees. He knows what that can end up looking like. But when you're a smaller business, I think the best thing to do when you're looking to hire your employees is first, make sure that you use your resources, like use your website. People get kind of scared about using their own website to hire. No, people are constantly visiting your website and you don't even realize it. Then you already set a tone for what your business is like. So they can look at your website and kind of see what your expectations are. What's your mission, vision, and values? Is your website put together, or is it just kind of tossed around? So they have an expectation to some degree. Use like your email list as well, and send out information, detailed about what you want. If that includes a job description, try to create those job descriptions early. Don't wait until somebody gets in and then you want to create it. At least start like a framework of it and build it over time, and let this person know that it's going to change, and make sure that when you change it, you have them sign off on it and that you keep that filed away so they'll know that you have a record that their duties have changed. Another thing is, don't be afraid to get on LinkedIn. They will let you like post one job for like 30 days. So that's a good place to find some like experienced talent, and to get an idea of what their background looks like before you try to waste your time with an interview. Another thing is, Indeed is a really good source for small businesses. Just be careful that it is a pay per click service. And so that cost, they can only give you a range, and sometimes you'll be under that range, sometimes you'll be in the range, or sometimes you'll be way over the range. So be very, very careful about your budgeting. So set aside some budget for recruiting, because recruiting is not cheap if you want someone that's going to be talented. So I already went out on my binge on that one because we got more questions. So Bree said,
education is, I said we missed a question from education is key. At the very top.
At the very top?
Does recruiting require meeting metrics?
Oh shoot, I didn't even get to that one yet. We still had some in between. I haven't got no one. Bree said, I currently work in social media marketing. I'm looking to pivot into tech. Do you have any tips on advice on what would make me a good candidate?
Are you trying to pivot into, I guess, tech within that same industry? Or are you saying you trying to get into tech, like say like a tech role? Or are you just talking about the tech industry?
Yeah, because I'm wondering, Bree, with social media marketing, it may seem like you can only work in tech roles. They do have more tech roles available than the traditional company, but you could do social media marketing for so many companies. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing too, I know has been a hot ticket is that a lot of American-based companies are outsourcing social media marketing. So I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to start doing some contracting work in like Fiverr and Upwork. So you can build your skills, you can build your resume from that work, and you can kind of know what they're talking about. And it also shows that you've worked with different industries, because in Fiverr and Upwork and stuff like that, you're going to have different types of business owners asking you for different types of social media marketing. And so to get you more immersed into these tech companies that have, such a large number of clients, and such a wide range in what their clients are like, and as a result, what their target audience persona is. So I would definitely start there and document it. Don't shy away from putting in like, hey, I've been a contractor, or I've been doing independent work. Like I hire and interview so many people who have been doing contract or independent work for quite some time. So not a bad idea. I would prefer that I get a call back from this company to let them know. I know, Deborah, everybody is not calling. We'd have to call like so many candidates. I'm impressed y'all calling rejections. I do send a catered message. I don't send a canned email. I do take my time to craft that message to those people. If I feel really excited about them, or I know I have something coming in the pipeline, then I do call. But I don't always call my rejections. Or if the hiring manager seemed like they really were having a hard time deciding, then I'll call them. And I like to give them feedback, like from what the eval said. But now we can hit on education is key's question. She said, do you have to meet metrics as a recruiter?
Yeah, I feel like it depends on the role. I mean, everyone have, their goals that they have to meet. I know some recruiter jobs like agency recruiting, they have to meet those metrics, like it's very salesy. More so like for my type of recruiting, I have goals that I have to meet, but honestly, at the same time, it's hard to control who's going to accept the offer, who's going to decline the offer. It's so many other
negotiate for forever.
Yeah, negotiation, things like that.
Hiring manager's gonna tell everybody no.
Right.
Like, no.
So you never, like, it's a lot of things that's not in the recruiter's control. Like a lot of people think we can control a lot. A lot of times, once we get you in the door and, through the interview process, a lot of it is, out of our hands for sure. So as far as like certain metrics, I think it just depends on the company and if it's an agency or like a bigger company as well.
Yeah. I know for us, and I'm in the tech industry as well, our metrics are primarily our days to fill. From the time that we post the job to the day that we filled it, we expect to have an offer out within 30 to 45 days. So and again, like Corey said, that depends on the role. There's some roles that definitely on 30 days, and you can tell when they really want it less. They always gonna tell you they want get somebody tomorrow. They gonna always say that. But that we have some roles that they know it's gonna be a tough fill, and they really want to look for that perfect candidate or someone that they feel can be a good fit, so that there's not like a high turnover. So they'll go more towards the 45 days. So that's kind of what one of my goals are. I was also telling Corey before, as we were getting on, is that my VP, she requires that I go through a minimum of 10 screens per day. And she's flexible about that, but she expects that I already talked to 10 people on top of our meetings and on top of our sourcing. And I'm not a second touch like Corey is. Sometimes I can get like someone else on my team to do some sourcing for me if it's a difficult role, or I have quite a few requisitions or jobs that I'm filling. But I go through, I source them, I screen them, I pass them on to the candidate, to the hiring manager. Like, that's all me. I don't have any
So you definitely full cycle.
Oh yeah, I'm full cycle. I literally stop at offer. Then we pass off the HR ops. But yeah, they got me working. Oh, Education is Key said the last live that you did was great, and thanks for asking that question. So she must have went back and watched that old one. Thank you, Education is Key. But Kimmy G, hey, that's my cousin. What's going on? Hey, boy, hey. She said, what certificates would you suggest a person should obtain outside of a 4-year degree to make themselves more marketable for a recruiting role?
Honestly, I feel like with my experience from seeing like recruiting coordinators come in, or just getting into recruiting, they didn't have any certificates. I'm pretty sure it would help, but honestly, if you want to get into a recruiting coordinator role, honestly, you wouldn't need a certificate or any recruiting background at all. They're just going to assess like maybe your ability to work with a team, how organized you are, how do you handle like being in fast-paced environments. They're going to assess those. So something like a recruiting coordinator, I wouldn't see where you would need a certificate. And even if you had a certificate trying to get a recruiter role, they still would want to see some type of experience on top of that certificate as well. Do you know any specific certificates?
Not for recruiting. I mean, I noticed that like LinkedIn is pushing some out there, whatever, where you can take like different types of certificates. I don't even know if it's recruiting. But it really isn't a certificate for recruiting, in my opinion. I mean, even if you're certified with like your SHRM or HRCI certification, that doesn't even guarantee you. Like Corey said, when you start in recruiting, in my opinion, it's so much like sales. Like I've seen people hire salespeople as recruiters too. And like he said, like doing a staffing agency or something like that is really good, but always kind of showing your personality, because you're going to be in front of different people every day, all day. If it's people you're interviewing, if it's your hiring managers, if it's maybe a finance team to talk about budget, like and then you're still a part of HR, which is like supposed to be the face of the company. So they really want to see someone that can fit into that culture fit, and someone that's moldable, someone that can easily pick up on technology. So people kind of shy away from the things that they use. Like during COVID, y'all were using like WebEx and Google Meet and Zoom and all of these things for these doctor's appointments, these therapy appointments, wherever y'all had to attend, everybody had y'all doing a different way. Y'all use it, you're exposed to it. Don't shy away from putting those things onto your resume, because as a recruiter, you're constantly using a different technology, and they want to see that you have that tech acumen to some degree. So I think that's helpful.
Piggyback off of that, a lot of times when people hear recruiter, you just think of it in general. So kind of think of it in two ways. There's experienced hire recruiters, and then there's early career and campus recruiters. So experienced hire recruiters, they work with people that have experience already. They're not fresh out of college. They're not looking for an internship. Campus recruiters and early career recruiters like myself is more so looking for college students, recent graduates, interns, and different things like that. If you want to go to campus recruiter route, I would say any job working on campus would definitely give you a upper edge, whether it's an admissions counselor job, you work for the registrar's office, administrative assistant on some campus, any type of campus job would help you get your resume up to the forefront for like a campus recruiter or early careers recruiter. So I would say if any of you ever worked in that type of environment and want to move to recruiting, I would say that's definitely a route too.
Yeah, that is a route. And y'all, I don't know why I don't know why I haven't said it. I can't say about Corey, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't know why I haven't said it yet. But networking is huge. Like, it's massive. Get to know people. They will sometimes be an advocate for you for positions, or your name will be in rooms where you aren't. So don't be afraid to build that network, particularly in like LinkedIn. In your current job, like, make sure that instead of you just coming in and just going from like Corey, upstairs and get something to eat downstairs and go upstairs, like mix around and get to know some folks. Just build your network. That's kind of helpful. But Taurus Diva has a really good question as well. And her question, and I'm gonna start with the end part of this. She says, I'm also an HR analyst trying to move into another HR field. She said, how would you suggest making my transferable skills pop on my resume?
Well, for one, I would say that's a good question. I feel like as long as you have them on your resume, then it should pop, Honestly, also it depends on the job description as well. So I always say never have one resume and just send it over to.
Okay. Corey hitting home now.
So I would say whatever roles you're applying to, look at the job description, see what skills you have, and make sure those skills are as visible as you can see, as clear as you can see, whether it's at the top, and just making sure that they see that you have those skills. Because a lot of times the sourcers, they're just told, this is the job description, these are the MQs, well, meets qualifications, things like that.
Yeah, break it down.
Yeah, break it down. And they're just looking for those skills and these particular keywords. So, whenever you're looking at the job description, make sure that some of the things that's in the job description is in some of your roles, only if you have done them, not to finesse the system. And then make sure those skills is like at the top where, the sourcers or whoever is looking at the applications can see that, okay, this person have this skill. Let's put that to the side, make sure we call them. So I would say that's the best way to make sure it pop, is just making sure that it matches exactly with what the job description and what the skills they're looking for says on the actual application.
So, we use JobBite for our ATS. I'm pretty sure Google got something fancy y'all using over there. But we use JobBite. And with JobBite, we get a whole, as we get applicants, I might have a role where I've had that role posted for 30 days, only have 20 candidates. But I might have one where I post it on Friday, and by Monday, I have 400 candidates, right? So, of course, we expect that applicant pool to probably grow even more if 400 people has applied over a weekend. When you have it that way, JobBite also, particularly for those saturated jobs, has it where I can sort my candidates, right? And they're categorized by color, like a dark green, a lighter green, an orange, yellow, red, so forth, right? When I have a big candidate pool, that's kind of my go-to. I shouldn't be saying this, my boss might see it, because she's like, no, Timeka, we can find a skill with somebody that's in red. So look through all of them. But if I know that, okay, I'm going to get overwhelmed with this role, I'll categorize them and I'll start going through the resumes of my dark green and then my solid green first. And that, just so y'all know, that's how he's saying, like, make sure that you have it where it's visible in your resume and that you're using the words from the job description, because that's where the applicant tracking system is, like, kind of categorizing them for us to make us not have to do as much to find that candidate. Because you can imagine going through 500 on a Monday, on top of everything else you have to do, we'd never be able to get through all of them. So how does it work for you guys as far as the applicant tracking system? How do you guys use the applicant tracking system to make the process a little bit easier for you?
Yeah, we pretty much outsource. So we have sourcers that work in-house and we have sources that work for companies that just source. So if it's a huge rec, we will outsource, and then we'll tell them like, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is the exact skills. And they will go through all of those people for us and then send us the ones that meet. And then we would do a second pass to make sure that they meet from the ones that they sent, and then go from there. So it's kind of more so like manual, honestly. We have
Really?
pretty much everything. Yeah.
What? I thought I would work there. I ain't applying again. Okay, but I'm pretty sure that check nice though. God, but that does give a like a personal approach. Off topic a bit, because we do have another question. I'm gonna jump on it. I was watching, so I let the news kind of play when I'm starting my morning. When I'm not on a call, I listen to it. Otherwise, it's on mute. And I was seeing that there is a past employee that actually had a couple more employees jump on, where she was saying she's like suing Google for like discrimination or what have you. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard a few things about that. Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel like it's a good fit for you? Because she was an African American sister. Do you feel like they've been treating you like equitable and inclusive? Yeah, I feel like you're really happy. Like when I look at
It's been
your
one of the
reels and stuff.
most inclusive companies I've ever worked for. So I guess it just depends
Wow.
on what area, what teams that you work on. But I never experienced anything where I'd be like, oh, I don't know about that. Like
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
my teams, all the people that I work around, it's been real laid back, chill, cool people. So I
They
haven't.
sending you a gift at the house. That's for sure. Every time I look, Corey open a new box from Google, y'all. Oh Lord. I said, I'm so jealous. He need to just go ahead and send it. He got enough paraphernalia. Like send some over, share the spread the love. But but yeah, I was just wondering because I think she had been there for quite some years. And like you said, it definitely depends on where you are. So I was just wondering if maybe that is a way to be more inclusive and kind of fit those EEOC requirements by literally handpicking and going through every resume like that too, because I'm pretty sure that makes it where you can say, well, no, we're not letting the system glitch us and turn all the minorities away or whatever. But Bree had another question. She said, do you prefer resumes that are in plain black and white or ones that have a creative, colorful touch?
I would say my opinion would be skewed a little bit because me working on tech roles, probably just black and white. But if I was working on a
I
role
was
like
gonna say that.
marketing, something like that, probably colorful, a little bit more pop. But tech roles is just plain black and white anyway. So all the colors, it don't mean nothing for us. We just looking for the skills and and
There you
experience.
go.
But
And
creative roles, definitely,
there you go.
more colorful. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. I just closed for two creative positions. One is a manager of creative services, another was a senior graphic designer. On them, I expect to see something because I know you've been using all formats of Adobe. I know that you've been using all of these new things that they use out here. So I would expect that you want to show a bit of your creative side, but not overwhelm us with it. Keep it professional. But definitely you wouldn't want yours looking like the average person. And I will say for those roles, particularly like my manager, and well, both of them, I had some pretty unique resumes where I was like, this is impressive. And I know this didn't come out of Word. So it depends on the role. I think that we're talking primarily about the tech industry tonight because that's all of Corey's experience. For me, who have kind of been in and out, I think again, I think it's no different. It totally depends on the role. And I think too, in my opinion, I feel like the way that you present your resume, um, y'all know I always tell you that your resume is your story. That you're telling a story through your resume, in my opinion. You're telling a story of how you've grown in your career, where you're going in your career, and what have you. So I think that it should show a bit of your personality to some degree. If you feel like you black and white, stay with black and white. But if you feel like you bring a little color to a situation, it's okay putting a little color in the situation. Yeah. Okay. So I
And
did
that's the
catch
thing,
all
you
of the
you wouldn't
questions.
get turned down for it. So, it's not like
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
be like, oh no, this resume too colorful or poppy. It's just whatever you feel, brings out your personality, go for it.
Yeah, yeah. What are your long-term career goals? You think that you're gonna like what do you think you want to do? I know you already said you want to stay in the tech industry, but long-term career goals, kind of where do you see yourself or what do you aspire to be?
Yeah, that's something that I'm toying around with now, as I'm coming up in being in recruiting for about 4 or 5 years now. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm trying to toy around with seeing other areas within Google that I wouldn't mind pivoting to, whether it's within recruiting or outside of recruiting.
Yeah.
I know Google, owns and manages YouTube, so maybe I could work on behalf of YouTube for Google. So,
Don't forget that, your girl.
so it's just different areas that I'm looking into. But if I were to stay in recruiting, I would at least want to move up to being like a lead of a team. Overseeing some strategic things,
Yeah.
instead of being like a what they call us, collaborator, just being like
Oh.
just being like a lead and being strategic on the team. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that would be my next pivot if I decide to stay within recruiting.
Yeah. And that would be after you try a different vertical, because you've always worked on techie stuff.
Yeah.
So like try a different vertical, and then I'm kind of liking this space. I'm scared to say it because I've been in my comfort zone of all things HR so long, and now that I'm in this tech space, I'm like, this ain't too bad.
Right. Exactly.
Especially in just like talent acquisition. So I think that, let me ask you, because I know what I found to be like part of my favorite part of this job.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part about being a talent acquisition professional?
Just the interactions and knowing that you're shaping the futures, like the work that we do is sometimes challenging, but it's also rewarding because you're helping someone else get an opportunity. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a person where I've always been the type to lift as I climb. So I do that in my personal life. I
Oh,
do that within my job now, being a recruiter. You're trying to bring people onto the company to experience, the company and maybe, live better than what they've been living. So, you
oh,
know,
that,
it
yeah,
was, and just being a, minority in recruiting is big.
yeah.
We need people of our color, sitting at the table and advocating for our kind. So just being
Mm-hmm.
at the table and being able to advocate for our people and give our people jobs. And I think that's what makes me want to stay in recruiting. It's hard to
Yeah.
leave once you get that little bit of taste.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. And I think that you hit your end part hit on mine. And mine is that I like seeing the gratitude that people have and the appreciation when I do job offers, particularly when people are like overwhelmingly, not just, yeah, I got the job, but like, oh my God, we had this situation going on, da, da, da. People will come out and say something. I'm like, oh girl, I'm gonna be tired, like crying for a whole nother reason right now.
Right.
Let's hit this last question because Corey is on a hard stop at 8. And y'all, when y'all work in like these remote worlds, these work from home opportunities, these tech industry, that means he got to go at 8. He getting the hell up off at 8. So so since he has a hard stop, let's see what this last question is real quick. So everyday life taboo. Hey Tabitha. Until a person is able to get on the job experience, what are some things that they can do to become a viable candidate for the job? Mm. Tabitha, I feel like that one kind of vague because it totally depends on the job.
Mhm.
Like to get on it, the best thing is to use your transferable skills, and people get so confused about what that is. But just think about some things that you do that you're like, I'm pretty sure they do them too. So let's break down a simple, easy one. If I'm a receptionist at a doctor's office, but I really want to be like an executive assistant for an executive, you probably answering the same phones, you doing emails, you coordinating meetings, you keeping people abreast of things. Those are transferable skills that you can do there too. So you always got the blank ones like communication and leadership skills and da da da. So definitely use your transferable skills to your ability, your best ability. Um, and always, like Corey already said, go to that job description, pull out what you know, and from that job description, put on your resume. Use more than one resume. Corey hit on that too. So it's quite a few ways. Corey, you got any suggestions? I'm sure Tabitha will get from me.
I was Hey, those are good points. I would say also just don't talk yourself out of a job. A lot of times when you see a job description, you see the qualifications, you be like, dang, I don't meet all these. Even if you meet one, just apply anyway. Even if you have a little bit experience, not the full 3, but you might have 2.5 to just apply anyway. Like,
Come on, man. They'd be like, oh, I only got 9 of the 10 different requirements. I'm like, apply.
Yeah, just
People kill me with that. Yeah. See, it's
apply,
nice
just
to hear
apply.
from somebody else like me.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I always tell people. Just apply. You never know what's written for you if you don't apply. So
Yeah. And in those cases, I think a lot of times I've watched where like a culture fit overtakes. Like I've had some people who's super qualified and then they're like, no, but we liked her personality. They both were qualified. She may not have had enough experience as this person, but I think I can easily train her. I can easily see her fitting in with the team. I can easily see her doing some critical thinking skills to get the way she needs to be. But yeah, I am so happy. I always say that. That's like my favorite line. When I go back and watch myself, I'm like, why do I keep saying I'm
you happy.
anyhow?
You happy.
I'm
You
happy.
happy.
But I am thrilled to have you on today. Like I know you got a lot of things going on and you were able to still fit me. And I just want you to know publicly I appreciate that because I stay bothering this boy in his DM. I stay talking trash on his YouTube videos. And ain't nothing for me to tell him when I want him to do a video, as if I know that that's a pain in the butt. But I really appreciate you kind of paving a way for a YouTuber like myself, as well as, you know, a tech professional now like myself. You've kind of given me that confidence there too. So I definitely want you to know in front of folks, like I think you should just keep doing everything you're doing. You're an amazing person. I watch you in your videos, and each time I keep thinking, well, I'm definitely not a minimalist, because that's kind of what Corey's niche is. So I keep saying, I don't need to watch this, I'm not a minimalist. But the gems he throw out on just thinking through things and what he does on a regular basis to help him, you know, have self-direction and self-guidance and to just blossom more in life, to me, that's where I connect with you. So if y'all are not tuned into Corey Jones, then you guys are definitely missing out. He has not only a phenomenal YouTube channel, but he's stay dropping them little, you know, the
Little
little
nugget.
thirst traps on IG. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I know them girls in Corey in his inbox now. But okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I ain't got my glasses on. Okay, see, they hear me sometimes. They're like, I heard Timeka say that too. Don't talk yourself out of a job. Yes, subscribe to his channel. It's amazing. If you guys are in college and you want to join a fraternity, sorority, that's kind of where Corey started, but now he's drifted into the minimalist side. YouTube has recognized him, and he's one of 2022's young Black creators. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
get the word. They just said it was.
Black Voices Fund creator class.
Okay.
It's a
Okay,
mouthful.
y'all.
But yeah, I'm one of them.
He one of them people, but they're amazing. All of those folks are amazing. I'm gonna check out their channels too. And of course, he's showing us what it looks like when you just step out on faith. If y'all pay attention to some of Corey's videos, has no problem telling you how he not only started in Sumter, South Carolina, but went and stayed with his sister in Charlotte for a while because life just wasn't going the direction he wanted it to. I think particularly around his divorce time, and went and stayed with a cousin in Atlanta. You know, sometimes you got to have those humble moments to get to the blessed moments like where he is now. So
Yes.
definitely check out his channel. I appreciate him. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to let Corey go because it is his hard eat time right now.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. I'm going to end. Oh.